Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Jordan, also known as J-Monster. I want to thank you for joining me for another 30 Age Reforged replay battle. Today I've got a 1v1v1v1 free-for-all on Mistrand. This one was sent to me by Vislack, so a big thank you to him for supporting the channel. So without any further ado, let's take a look at some of the army comps, then we can get into the replay itself. I hope you guys enjoy it. The first army we're going to look at today is naturally that of Vislack. He is playing as the Witch Realm of Angmar. He's brought some Guardians of Karn Doom, I believe multiple units of them, 3 in fact. 2 units of the Black Watch Legion, a really useful unit for pushing lines and breaking through enemy formations and choke points. His range contingent, naturally, is not amazing, because that's not really where Angmar's specialization tends to lie. So he's got a unit here of the Snaga Archers, and I think... it can't be his only archer. He's kind of spread out here, so we've got some Snaga Archers over here as well. Unit of Snaga Stalkers to kind of act as a tar pit. They are able to hide anywhere, so you can use them in matches like this to just surprise your enemy. They won't really kill a whole lot of enemy soldiers. However, they are great for just being obnoxious and possibly even buying a little bit of time here for the Snaga Archers and eventually for the Good and Bad Guard to hold the line if that is what is necessary. Vislack also bringing a couple units of War Riders. If you guys are unfamiliar with the mod, War Riders are extremely powerful anti-cavalry. They are armor piercing. They have 2 HP, but they're quite fragile. Very low defensive stats all around, and they lack a shield entirely, so they're extremely vulnerable to missiles, especially those of mounted bowmen. Now, if we move on over here, I think is that a 3rd unit of Ward Riders? Nope, just the 2 units. Actually, we missed a couple of important units over here, so let's stop over in this area before we move on. Unit of Witchers, very controversial unit. I personally think they're fine. I have had very limited success, however, in convincing people that that is the case. But personally, they can be shut down very easily, especially by a unit of cavalry. It doesn't really matter too much in a cityscape environment like this. But elite archers can take a nice bite out of them. They don't have a ton of armor, and there's not really very many of them in a unit. The biggest advantage, and one that I see players capitalize a lot on this unit, is they are small, so they are very easy to miss and very easy to hide. Moving on now, we have the Witch Realm Blackguard, which actually has the Angmar General in it right there. You can tell it's that black Numenorian. And I think that does it for his forces over here. So let's now move on to the next section, where we have a 2nd unit of Good and Bad Guard, a bunch of Barrow Wights, a really pain in the ass unit. They don't do a ton of damage, but they are 3 HP with really good defensive stats, so they make an excellent tar pit. The biggest drawback to these units is that they are exceedingly slow, very much limited by the custom animation set, which was borrowed from, I believe, it's beginning of the end time. So they have the zombie animations that were ported over from there. So yes, they are very, very slow, which kind of it can limit your ability to use them if your enemy is very mobile and is avoiding a frontal engagement. But in a cityscape like this, where there's not really a ton of ground to cover, if you position them well, you won't really need to move them at all. 2nd unit, or 1st unit here of some Goblin Trackers from Vislack, and I think that just about does it for his army. No, actually we've got a lot of skirmishers here in the part of Vislack, 2 units of Goblin Trackers in addition to the Snaga units that he has. Let's move on now to some of his opponents. Over here, we have the forces of Mordor being commanded by Von Mountain. A lot of Moradon infantry, some Orc Javelins, a very useful unit to have in just about every situation. Field battle, siege, Javelins are extremely valuable. Also got a unit of Black Legion of Barad-dûr, who are very similar to the Black Watch Legion of Gundabad. They are weaker and they have less shield value, less mass, but they do have significantly improved numbers, nearly double the numbers of the Black Watch Legion, so it's a bit of a trade-off there. Got some Orc fodder just because they are free currently. Moradon heavy maulers here as well. I think Temple Inquisitors, yes. Are they mounted Temple Inquisitors or mounted Temple Executioners? I can't really tell anymore. Mounted Temple, or just Temple Inquisitors. I'll probably call them Mounted Temple Inquisitors a few times. It's a little bit redundant, but that's what they used to be called. Got a unit here of the Troll Drummers, which is a unit created by Crimson Bahelite. It is essentially a morale battery. Plus 5 morale to units, I think, within 200 meters. So very, very strong and extremely useful for keeping units like the Orc Fodder or some of the lower tier Orc units in line, in addition to buffing up the higher tier ones quite nicely. Orc Archers here as well. Another unit of Black Legion of Barad-dûr mixed in with some Orc Javelins there. Yet more Orc Fodder. Got a unit of Melkor's Chosen as well. They are a Caragor unit, if you guys are fans of the is it Shadow of Mordor? I can't remember. Their naming convention is very easy to mix up. But if you guys are a fan of the Shadow of Mordor's kind of series, then you'll recognize these Caragor units right away. They are wargs kicked up to 11. I believe they have plus 10 or so against cavalry. They are not armor piercing, but they are extremely tanky. They've got pretty decent damage with that massive two-headed or one-headed mace that they have there, but they also have a shield value, which is something unique among warg units. And I think that does it for Von Mountain's army, unless he's got some hidden units in there, but I'm sure those will be revealed progressively as the battle unfolds. Over here, we have the forces of Rudar being commanded by Poop Fluffy Duck, or Maurice Fluffy Duck if you prefer. He's got, I believe, 2 units, or no, just 1 unit of the Heredinine Berserkers. They are an AP Berserker unit, and Berserkers tend to have 2 HP, but that was changed a little while ago, just for the sake of balance, and you can actually bring 2 of these units now. That will be changing in the .97 patch, however. Very, very likely, just because we haven't really had any negative feedback on that change so far. Where these guys will drop from 120 men to 100 men, and they will also be 2 HP, but however be limited to 1. They've got some throwing axes as well that they toss before they get into combat, so it's great for softening up enemy formations before you engage with your Berserkers. Speaking of softening up enemy formations, however, one of the best units for doing that sort of thing is the Edmore's Troll Hunters, who are actually getting a nice little reskin, courtesy of Cowering Coma. So we're going to get the Reforged. How should I say that? The Reforged Attention, where the detail on the units will be kicked up pretty well to 11, so they're going to look awesome by the time that comes out, which should be in patch .97. Edmore Troll Hunters, however, are a spear unit, and they are a very valuable javelin unit as well. So extremely useful for defending other javelins and dealing some serious damage themselves. We got some Witch Realm Enslavers. The model here is a little bit weird. It's very strange indeed. So it may be changing. We'll see. But this is they're essentially a 2-handed axe unit with a little bit of anti-cavalry bonus, which is something that will change in the new patch. They're going to be losing their anti-cavalry bonus, but I think they gain a little bit of damage in return, so they end up being a really strong unit. 2 HP, they inspire nearby units by giving them 10 morale and 25 meters, so quite good. Heredinine Pikemen do exactly what you would expect that they do. They form a solid pike wall, but they also have shields, which is reasonably unique among pike units. So that's a nice little bonus there for the Rudar forces. A couple units of Rudar swordsmen. Quite useful. High attack, low defense, and very numerous. Over here we got some Dunman Pikemen. Very vulnerable, but pike units in Reforged are actually quite strong, because Crimson Behelit has found a method of making the pikes reach farther than other units. So it is actually quite easy for pikes to keep enemy units at range. We are looking at some interesting ways to change pikes, and I'm actually going to talk a little bit about that because I can't help myself when it comes to new changes. I am really excited about pushing these forward. Pardon me, just a little bit stuffed up. Pikes currently do not have a secondary attachment, and a lot of people don't like that. So we are looking at a way to implement pikes so that they can have a secondary attachment, but also still be useful. One of the metrics that we're using for kind of as a proof of concept is Igni Feroque, whose pikes do have these secondary attachments, but they also have far tighter formations and really, really high mass. So that is something we're going to experiment with. Obviously, Reforged is not Igni Feroque and does not want to be that way, and it plays a lot different just because we have like fantasy units. But it is something we're going to try and experiment with just to make pikes a little bit more interesting to use. Something that it is going to need a little bit of babysitting, but can be very strong. So you're not going to have, hopefully you won't have, if you can implement this properly, pikes getting attacked in the rear and then just suddenly whipping around the whole phalanx and skewering whoever happens to be attacking them. It's a little bit gamey and kind of janky, so we are looking at ways to improve that. But in any case, Dunman Pikemen. 1, 2, 3 Dunman Pikemen. Blah, this does not seem like the entirety of the Rudar force. I'm guessing that there are some hidden units here, probably some axemen, maybe some rangers and things like that. No cavalry to speak of, which is an interesting approach to take. And then I believe there is one other army here, this being Arthedain and the forces of Man of Wanwei. He's got a unit here of Knights of Anumnas. If you guys are new to the mod, Knights are a fusion of Lancer and melee cavalry units. Melee cavalry being strong against cavalry, and Lancers having a very devastating charge. This is a fusion of those two units with none of the downsides of either, so that's quite nice. The trade-off is, however, that they are quite low in number and very expensive. A couple units here of the Mercenary War Chiefs. Not a unit that gets a lot of love lately, but honestly, I don't see why not. Their low morale is their biggest problem, but you can augment that with Inspire units, and then they are a fairly cheap and far more numerous Sword Master unit than the ones native to most of the factions that have them available. Numinas Gate Guards here, a nice little anchor to the Arthedain line. They have a decent Inspire effect, but it is not as powerful as the one on the Cartolin Pikes. At least they won't be in the next patch, so just something to keep in mind there. Wardens of the North, AP Archers, exceedingly powerful anti-cavalry. How much use he'll get out of them in this city environment remains to be seen. But in a lot of ways they can act kind of like ranged javelins, but there's not a ton of them, and they are quite limited in their ammunition. Really strong core of a couple units of Dismounted Knights of Numinas. Very useful units. A little bit stronger than the Talon Knights, who are, in a lot of ways are very similar to the Knights of Numinas. In the next patch, they will be going down to a single unit, but they are going to be getting a really strong Inspire effect and some slightly increased stats, so a bit of a trade-off there. I believe that's 2 units of the Arthedain Marksmen, and a nice little phalanx here composed of Arthedain Men-at-Arms and Arthedain Pikemen, which is really the way a lot of people play Arthedain. In general, Arthedain is going to rely a lot on its cavalry. So a fight like this that limits your mobility might not necessarily favor Arthedain, but with their pike units, they can be, their pikes and their skirmishers, I should say, they can actually be quite strong. And then a couple units of civilians who are useful for blocking for the most part. A bit of a meme unit. They do, however, find a niche in battle by being used to block cavalry charges. So you can probably get your enemy will probably chew through them in 2-3 charges if you're lucky. But all things considered, these civilians do definitely have a useful position in an army, and they aren't really all that expensive to bring. So I think that does it for the army comps. Let's go ahead and jump into the battle. Hope you guys enjoy it. Fluffy Duck has begun to move forward with some of his Rudour Dunman Pikemen. Little does he realize, however, that Vislak has some hidden archer units. They kind of played their hand a bit early. I don't think they managed to get a volley up before Fluffy Duck was able to swiftly react. So none of those Dunman Pikemen fell to the arrows of those Goblin trackers, and now their positions have been revealed. So well done there on the part of Fluffy Duck. That was some solid reaction time. And now Fluffy Duck instead is bringing up his units of Rudour Swordsmen, who have about 7 shield value to the 4 or so damage of the Goblin trackers, which is going to protect them quite well from the arrows of the goblins. Meanwhile, the forces of Von Mountain are slowly but surely snaking their way out of their bastion over here in the north of the map, and it looks like Vislak could be in trouble of getting could find himself in position of being squeezed between 2 powerful enemies. Rudour is definitely a match for Angmar on their own in close quarters, but it seems like maybe Fluffy is going to go elsewhere. That's awfully charitable of Fluffy, something you certainly wouldn't expect from him. So he looks like he's pulling off, and he might be moving to confront the Arthedain army, or he's going to try a different tack. But again, Vislak has already anticipated this. The unit of Snaga Stalkers just sitting here, waiting for the opportune moment to be used. A little bit of chaos here, some lag. A little bit of chaos here in Fluffy's ranks. He's fairly limited in the directions that he can take. Oh, another couple of hidden units here. 2 units of Ferrodrum Javelins. These guys are actually 2 HP units. Again, they're going to be going down to 1, but they will be getting better. Even better still in melee, so they're definitely going to be a little bit more worth it after they throw their javelins in the current iteration of the game. They're not an amazing melee unit. Snaga Stalkers charging their way into the Dunman Pikemen, but honestly, the Dunman Pikemen are going to have this locked down. However, with the support of those missile units up there, you can really see the weakness of the Dunman Pikemen here at play. Let's go ahead and we'll turn it down just a little bit, down to 0.8. And ultimately, this is going to be a pretty solid engagement for Vislak. Snaga Archers is really not sacrificing a whole lot in order to be able to do this too. The Dunman Pikemen are certainly a more valuable unit than a unit of Snaga Stalkers, which can be brought for free, and of course a low-tier unit of the Snaga Archers. So a lot of bang for Vislak's buck there. Moving on over to this side, it's all quiet here on the southern front. Doesn't seem like Fluffy Duck really wants to push out there, but I am more curious about what Von Mountain is going to be doing. It seems like Von Mountain is actually going to hold his position inside of this nice little nook that he's found for himself, which honestly isn't a terrible idea. Meeting Arthedain in the open, especially with how many pikes that they have at their disposal, it would go pretty poorly for Mordor. Mordor does not, in fact, Orcish factions in general don't tend to have pikes. I think Angmar is really the only exception to that. So it would be hard for them to try and deal with these Arthedain pikemen and with the solid phalanx that Man of One Way has brought to bear. So yeah, holding his ground is and hoping for opportunity engagements and trying to capitalize on mistakes that his opponents might make is probably the best chance I think that Von Mountain has for success in this instance. Down here, we've got the Rudauer forces really pressing the Snaga Stalkers quite hard. Dunman Pikemen over here have just been absolutely massacred. Look at that. Down to less than half strength at this point. Rudauer swordsmen marching their way up this hill, but I'm sure Vislak is going to notice it. He's going to send his Gundabad guard forward. Yes, indeed. Vislak and Fluffy Duck are players that have been playing for quite a while, so it's not really all that easy to get the drop on them. But unfortunately, Fluffy Duck doesn't have a whole lot of options here. He's got to force his way through, or yeah, really that's his only option. He has to force his way through, and this is probably the best place that he can do it, as opposed to the much larger, wider, and more open choke point on the other end. Although I definitely would have kept my pikemen farther back, but hey, he didn't know. Let's see what Man of Wanwei is up to. He's just consolidating in this area up here. A lot of his forces are actually winded because they had quite the trek. I think they started like down here and then they had to go all the way up and around. A little bit of harassment there apparently probably from Von Mountain's forces firing indirectly over the top of the mountain. And soon enough, Man of Wanwei will have to take the fight either to Von Mountain or move against Vislak and risk being attacked in the rear. So I think he'll probably go for Von Mountain and give him the choice of those two situations. Popping back on over to this side, the Snaga Stalkers have been destroyed, but at what cost? At the cost of many Dunman pikemen. Damn that lag. But yes, at the cost of many Dunman pikemen, those Snaga skirmishers have been vanquished. But was it worth it? Pikemen are a really valuable unit in this kind of situation. Vislak now drawing back with his Gundabad guard and with some of his Snaga Guardians of Karn Dûm up here as well. Vislak's going to find himself under a lot of pressure potentially. Fluffy Duck has a massive amount of mid-range skirmish as well, which is going to serve him quite well in these tight quarters. If he can bring all of that to bear against Vislak's army, I think that he can melt quite a lot of it. And I really am a fan of the word "quite" today. I don't know if you've noticed. And yeah, if Vislak can't deal with the pikes of Fluffy Duck, then that's another thing that's really going to count against him in this close quarters choke point battle. What we got over here? It's just a routing unit of Snaga Stalkers. Yeah, they did their job. 47 of them fleeing for the hills. Probably not going to see any more from them in this battle. Fluffy Duck kind of has split up his army a little bit. Some of his forces have gone up the hill. Rudauer Swordsman, just an expeditionary force. I suppose he's being a little bit more cautious just because of the ambush that Vislak laid on him. A lot of the Goblin units from Angmar, in fact, all of them can hide. So Fluffy Duck obviously doesn't want to advance into what could potentially be another punishing ambush. Just being a little bit cautious here. Moving up slowly but surely. And we'll see what he does as time goes on. It seems like Vislak is really... He's fallen back in a big way here. He's abandoning this choke point, it would appear, and instead is trying to get into this smaller area. It does give him some options for maneuvering as well. He could potentially come through here, I believe, yes indeed, and come in behind Man of Wanwei's army, which would maybe end up squeezing Man of Wanwei instead between the forces of Mordor and his own army. We'll see. FFA matches like this are really interesting to observe the way that politics between the players evolve, the alliances that they make and then break just as quickly. It really makes for some entertaining and unpredictable gameplay. But for the time being, it's a lot of movement, so I think we're going to go ahead. We're going to fast forward just a little bit here, and I'll see you guys in a moment. And here we are. Man of Wanwei has got himself into position, and he's sending out some probing tendrils here of civilians, trying to reconnoiter the area, look for maybe any hidden units, see if he can't maybe draw Von Mountain into revealing his hand a little bit. If you look over here, Von Mountain is well prepared for this, however. Orc archers, which you can bring through this building. Fun little fact is that you can actually go through a lot of the buildings in this map. And it's actually really... it's pretty cool. If you want to do this, all you have to do is put down these little fences, and it kind of limits the ways that your soldiers can approach going through here. So you can actually make buildings enterable in that way instead of just having units clip through the wall. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, so Von Mountain is able to reinforce through this building and bring them here to threaten the flank of Man of Wanwei as he moves through this very narrow choke point. So this is a carefully chosen piece of ground. And Von Mountain is well prepared to hold it. Actually, one of the things I didn't see in Von Mountain's army was a unit of Temple Guard, and they are AP archers as well. So the same principle applies to them as it applies to the Wardens of the North. Not exactly amazing in an all-out skirmish fight, but when you use them to neutralize important assets, well, that's really when they're at their best. If we look over here, civilians moving forward, and it seems like the Orc archers are going to move and meet them as well. Mordor heavy maulers streaming their way out of this building in order to support the Orc archers. And Man of Wanwei has some pretty difficult choices ahead of him. He's got Vislak and his army threatening his rear, and of course he's got an entrenched Mordor force in front of him as well. So he's kind of been boxed in a little bit here. He's very limited in his ability to move around. Although that being said, if he wanted to, he could quickly move through here. Looks like Fluffy Duck has some Herenadine Rangers. He's going to use them to harass Man of Wanwei's force. Actually, I believe Man of Wanwei has some Rangers of his own. But these men-at-arms right here and these pikemen, that is just such a good target. Look at that beautiful enfilading fire there. The Rangers can hit multiple units with their arrows. Solid and true body piercing, which makes them really, really deadly foes. It seems like Fluffy Duck is not going to wait around for his Rangers to get shot at and for Man of Wanwei to be able to return fire. So he's going to flee. He's going to move back towards the rest of his army. We've got some Red Hour Swordsmen over here. There's a tempest raging all around Man of Wanwei, and he's kind of caught in the middle of it, which is really unfortunate. So he's got Mordor there. Rudauer is now coming up here, and Vislak has moved into the smaller area as well, which is a clever little bit of maneuvering on his part. He's managed to isolate one of his enemies and potentially bring all of the other armies but his own into contact with each other. So really, really solid plan there on the part of Vislak. Really thinking ahead there. Very tactical. And so far, it's a bit of a skirmish fight, which doesn't necessarily make for the most engaging gameplay, but it's the maneuvering part of this that I think is the most interesting. Fawn Mountain just kind of holding his position. I assume Fluffy Duck is consolidating. Yes, indeed he is. So he's slowly moving up the rest of his forces here. And I want to see what happens to Man of Wanwei. So we're going to go ahead. 6 times speed. Looks like those Rangers are moving forward again. Fluffy Duck kind of bobbing and weaving here, trying to avoid the mainline archers of Man of Wanwei that can do such grievous harm to these Herenadine Rangers. Now they're winding up for another shot here, and we know exactly what they're going to go for, don't we? This is going to be an ugly situation for Man of Wanwei. Ooh, look at the damage those Rangers can cause. Not too devastating because of the higher armor values of these units, and the shield value of some of the men-at-arms. But over time, this will certainly take its toll. I think there's some strange indirect fire here from Man of Wanwei. So we got some Illumina's Gate Guards over here as well, moving in unsupported against the Gundabad Guard. Not a great idea. Actually, I think they're moving in support of these mercenary war chiefs. But yeah, moving against spearmen like the Gundabad Guard with pikemen can be a bit of a gamble. The shield wall that is available to all spearmen, regardless of their tier, is extremely useful at pushing its way through pikes. Which is one of the concerns actually that we have with balancing the pikes when we give them attachments, if we decide we want to try that. But in any case, Gundabad Guard here holding the line as the Blackwatch Legion. I think there's some Guardians of Karn Doom in there, come in from the rear. The civilians charging into battle very bravely, but they are certainly no match for the Blackwatch Legion. But this fairly numerous force will be able to tie down these Witch Realm forces while the pikes and the mercenary swordsmen are used against the Gundabad Guard. I don't think this is a fight that the Gundabad Guard will be able to win unaided, so we'll see how that goes for Man of Wanwei. Unfortunately for him, he's kind of fighting on 2 fronts. I think maybe he's trying to like shoot over into the Snaga Stalkers. Not the best use of one's ammunition, however. You always want to go for the direct fire if you can. The Snaga Stalkers are more numerous, and their arrows are simply less valuable. They don't cost as much to the force overall as the mainline archers will for Man of Wanwei. So we got over here, Fluffy Duck's Rangers have been driven back a little bit. Well, some counterfire coming in from Man of Wanwei's army. Let's see what Von Mountain is doing. Still holding his position so far. Now might not be the worst time for him to move forward with at least maybe some of the skirmishers. Try to put some heat on Man of Wanwei, and then that'd be an easy way for 3 players to knock out one of their opponents early on. One of their stronger opponents, indeed, earlier on. Poor Man of Wanwei. I think he's feeling really picked on right now. He certainly has my sympathies. Let's pop back on over to this side. I think this is where the Witch Realm forces will probably start to pull it back, although with the addition of some more mercenary war chiefs, that remains to be seen. The low morale of the civilians is doubtless being boosted by the Anumina's Gate Guards, but they are being flanked at the moment by a unit of Blackwatch Legion, which, again, with their high mass and their ability to form shield wall, are a pretty solid counter to a unit like the Anumina's Gate Guards. Gundabad Guard here, slowly losing ground in the face of these Arthedain forces. Got a unit of Guardians of Karn Doom coming in, however, and I think that's going to be too much for the mercenary war chiefs and the Anumina's Gate Guards. I think this is maybe where Gundabad starts to pull it back a bit. Or Gundabad. I should have called them Angmar. They used to be known as Gundabad. What do you know? Got some great company here as well. Oh, please tell me they're not shooting over the top. Oh, that'd be such a waste. No, Man of Wanwei, don't do that. Don't break my heart. But the great company, if you guys aren't aware, are mounted rangers. So very mobile, and they have the body piercing that you saw being used to pretty good effect against the Arthedain main line, and they can do that. They can do that from just about any angle. They are very swift. Their big drawback, however, is that being mounted bowmen, their range is inferior to that of mainline archers. So a bit of a trade-off there, and naturally, most rangers they are quite fragile. See what's going on with Fluffy's army. They've just kind of formed up here and not really doing a whole lot. Nobody really seems to want to commit to anything serious just because of the way that this map works. Although I say this, and then Von Mountain is moving forward. You can see some Moranon infantry backed up with yet more Moranon infantry and a unit of Melkor's Chosen coming forward. Not sure why the rest of the army is moving. I think that if you're going to commit, you need to commit and not just bring a few units. But Von Mountain definitely has the forces nearby to really put the hurt on Man of Wanwei and to rapidly reinforce his front lines. It's just a little bit stranger now that he's not doing that. Orc Archers moving forward, however. Soon enough, I think we're going to see a bit of a skirmish fight here that's not going to go well for Man of Wanwei. He's really being squeezed right now. Let's see how things are going over here. So far, our only engagement is over here. Guardians of Karn Doom, Gundabad Guard, and Blackwatch Legion trying to force their way through. Although I don't think the Blackwatch Legion have done terribly well. Ooh, bet you these guys have fire arrows. Nope. They're just firing into the unprotected civilians, trying to rout this flank. That's gonna be no problem. But it seems like Man of Wanwei is trying to move forward with some of his mercenary war chiefs, and he's going to get in to the Snaga archers. Snaga are not brave by any means, and they are actually quite weak in addition to. So they could be very easily cut down and ultimately routed if more of those mercenary warriors were able to get in there, I think, a little bit earlier. Man of Wanwei now committing some of his serious units, Knights of Anuminas. How far can they conceivably drive into the Angmar forces? A lot of bowmen over here. Still got those wargs to account for as well. And another unit of Guardians of Karn Doom has now been mobilized and dispatched to the front lines in response to the arrival of those Knights of Anuminas. So this blob of Angmar infantry is slowly losing ground, but help is on the way. And so far, this I think is our only engagement. More of those bowmen have now revealed themselves as they focus their fire on this large commitment of Arthedain troops, which has given them such a hard time so far. What we got here? Perhaps we're seeing a bit of an alliance between Von Mountain and Man of Wanway, because they don't seem to be interested in fighting one another. It may be that Fluffy is their potential target, although they aren't really in a good position given where their armies are in relation to one another to assault Fluffy Duck simultaneously. So they'd have to go in waves, which kind of it requires a lot of trust and opens you up to betrayal. Makes you very, very vulnerable. So we'll see what they end up doing here. Yeah, they are moving forward. He is not shooting at Man of Wanway, so Man of Wanway having a bit of a stay of execution here in that Von Mountain seems to have temporarily, at least, joined his cause. Meanwhile, over here, the grind continues. Let's go ahead, kick it up to 1.5 times speed. What we got in the back here? Knights of Inuminas have driven into the host of Angmar. A little bit isolated now, but they do have a nice position up on a hill to deal with some of these Guardians of Karn Doom. They are being peppered down with arrows, but I don't expect that to do too much to them. They are very heavily armored, and the Snaga archers are probably some of the worst archers available. So nothing too deadly there. Oh, wow, the Rangers, the Dunedain Rangers coming in like a wrecking ball, destroying that unit of Snaga archers. One more volley. Come on, just one more. Oh, it doesn't look like we're going to get it. They are in a fairly exposed position. I think they might be going after maybe some of these units over here, some of these Snaga archers. But that was some beautiful inflating fire there from Man of Wanway. Really kind of turned things around. Knights of Inuminas says that the defeat is certain. Well, it says that for both sides, so I guess nobody wins in that kind of fight. Guardians of Karn Doom, however, still being driven back. Snaga archers opening fire on the Arthedain pikemen and the Dunedain Rangers simultaneously, but honestly, the Arthedain pikemen have decent enough armor values that they will be able to stand up to the Snaga archers pretty well all day. Meanwhile, the Dunedain Rangers are not so fortunate, and they are taking a fair amount of damage here from those Snaga units. I think now would be a good time to pull back. Man of Wanway has definitely proved his point, but he's nearly down to about half strength of his Rangers. So yeah, I want to try and keep them reserved for as long as possible. Instead, use the Arthedain marksmen to put the hurt onto Vislak's archers. It's probably a better choice there. Mordor infantry engaging the front line of Pulpulfdak. Mordor infantry unaided, however, against those pikes and those Rudauer swordsmen. It's not going to go well for them. And you can already see the tide of battle beginning to turn against them. The Mordor infantry are not capable of holding back the storm on their own. Oh man, some of those Orc archers getting singled out by the Rudauer infantry. However, the Mordor infantry are nearby and can block for them for at least a little while. And these two units are really going to hurt each other, though. Rudauer swordsmen, they seem to be losing grounds, although casualties are mounting and getting higher on both sides. Mordor infantry out over here breaking as they try to flee and reform. And Von Mountain is going to need to move forward with more of his troops. He wants to keep his front line intact, but I don't know if they're going to make it in time. The rest of his army is very, very far behind that front line. I think maybe another couple units of infantry and one of those Orc javelins is probably called for in this kind of situation. But we'll see. We'll see how Von Mountain responds. And certainly one of the Black Legion of Barad-dûr would be a good thing to have to move forward against the Rudauer troops, especially with all those pikemen. Oh no, the Orc archers. They're getting caught. A nice shot there into that blob of Rudauer forces. If they were able to just continue to do that, I think this fight could potentially turn around. There's still a decent amount of Mordor infantry there. The Rudauer swordsmen have taken fairly heavy losses as well. Mordor heavy maulers, I think, coming in from the rear. Ooh, and those Rudauer swordsmen are going to find themselves in a world of hurt as they collide with those heavy axemen. Oh yeah, look at the casualties mount. And these Orc archers in defensive formation are going to be able to continuously fire, and supported by those heavy maulers, I think Von Mountain has managed to turn this fight around with a fairly timely charge from his heavy infantry. Let's see what's happening over here. Seems like the Arthedain forces have been victorious, and now Vislak is kind of on the back foot here. The Guardians of Karn Doom have been fighting an extended battle against these Knights of Inuminas, and ultimately these elite knights of the capital of Arnor are going to get the better of these orcs. And I think Vislak is going to be forced to fall back again. Barrel White's inevitably trailing the rest of the forces. Yeah, Vislak is being driven back now, so it seems like Vislak and Fluffy Duck have teamed up, which is no surprise there. The two of them have been teammates frequently in the past, and they've won a couple of tournaments together. So, for the time being, this does not surprise me. Oh, wow, more hidden units just showing up. Some Black Bolts here. These are a Berserker unit, so they are Lock Morale, 2 HP, Armor Piercing, but very, very lightly armored. That's the kind of big trade-off there. Although they are in Horde formation, so a little bit less vulnerable to missiles, just because Horde formation kind of makes units a little bit harder to hit in practice. Let's see what we got over here. Dumbman Pikemen, losing grounds. Mordor Infantry have put up a great stand and allowed the Orc Archers to do some pretty decent work against this this blob of Fluffy Duck's infantry. However, that's going to turn around pretty quickly. Oh no. I think Fluffy Duck's going to see this coming. At least I hope so. Oh, a charge into the flank. Deadly, deadly, deadly. He doesn't want to leave those in there for too long, though. Or those heavily armored knights will start to fall away. I love the way that they trot. It's almost comical how quickly their little legs move. Actually, now that I see the wargs moving, it is worth mentioning the wargs are getting new animations, so they'll run a little bit more like hyenas in a lot of ways. It's almost cat-like actually, instead of canine, and the animations are actually quite fast. So wargs will be getting indirectly a bit of a speed boost. So be afraid. Anyway, Dumbman Pikemen here. Fluffy Duck's commitments have done pretty well, and with the addition of those Dumbman Pikemen, they are beating back the Mordor Heavy Maulers, who simply cannot get close enough to be effective, but they are not really able to be moved out of the way. Orc Fodder over here, charging in, just to try and give Von Mountain time to do damage with his archers, which is really where a lot of the killing power is coming from, now that these pikemen have the Heavy Maulers under control. But let's pop over to this side. Man of One Way has consolidated his victory in this area, driven Vislak out of it, but at fairly great cost. If you take a look at the ground over here, well, it's not that bad. It was the mercenary units and a couple units of civilians, I think, bore the brunt of the fighting, and ultimately were the ones who died the most. And Vislak, in turn, actually lost some fairly significant units. I think he lost 1 or 2 units of the Good and Bad Guard and a couple units of his Guardians of Karn Doom. So Vislak definitely on the back foot, although it is worth mentioning that he does have the Witchers of Angmar, which can turn a game around, as we've seen time and time again. Whether or not they'll be able to have that kind of impact on this matchup remains to be seen. It's really come down to a bit of a line battle so far, in the Vislak Fluffy Duck Alliance are certainly struggling in that regard, because of some solid tactics on the part of Man of One Way and Von Mountain. Well, looks like Von Mountain might try to use this gap here to his advantage. Indeed, he's going to slip a unit of Melkor's Chosen through. Fluffy Duck's going to try and respond, but it is going to be too late. The Dumbman Pikemen now on the verge of wavering. They're going to pull out and try and chase here against these Melkor's Chosen. Whether or not that proves to be a solid opportunity will remain to be seen. But they are definitely cut off from retreat now. It is worth mentioning. This cavalry unit is kind of isolated, so unless they can break through, which they might be able to here, if they pull through their own unit, and looks like Von Mountain is going to do exactly that, and then the Orc Fodder are going to charge forward and lock those Dumbman Pikemen in place. This is going to be a solid victory for Von Mountain, whereas previously it was looking a little bit dicey for him. In the back here, you can see Pope Fluffy Duck forming up another line of troops. These ones are significantly improved in quality. The Hereditary Pikemen are very, very strong, certainly more so than the Dumbman Pikes. Got a unit of Rangers up here, which I think he's trying to use against Man of One Way's army, but Man of One Way was having none of it, and those Rangers have been driven down from the ramparts and are now again on the back foot. And this is looking ugly for Fluffy Duck. If Man, oh no, oh, the Rangers. I'll hold that thought for the time being. Oh no, this is devastating for Man of One Way. Do9 Rangers caught out by the Warg Riders. Not enough spearmen being brought forward here, unfortunately. Maybe Man of One Way got a little bit too confident there, and kind of flew too close to the sun. So now those Warg Riders are able to take a bite out of a pretty important unit, although it wasn't a huge blow. Arthurine Marksmen charging in against the Warg Riders, probably not the best thing to do, but I imagine they're out of ammunition at this point, so they're really just more of a fodder unit. Mass Gate Guards being brought forward to make sure that this does not happen a second time. And on the other side, what do we got? Some mercenary war chiefs, some Arthurine pikemen, and a few civilians moving forward. This is a force that will not do nearly as well. Now, Man of Wanwei needs to lock down one of these areas, I think, and then begin to commit into one of these lanes. And I think the best way to do this, because of Wisla, how strong his formation is to try and get some of these forces to commit heavily on one side, and then attack with your reserves on the other side. You might be able to catch him off guard and bust your way through. Although with units of barrel whites, it seems like that's not going to be very, very possible. Arthane pikemen moving forward, basically unsupported. This is going to turn out to be a mistake. What do we have up here? Got a unit of archers up here somewhere. Some goblin trackers from Vislak have been stationed up here on this hill, and they have a beautiful shot down into the Arthane pikemen, who are going to collide with the Good and Bad Guard and rout almost immediately, I would expect. The Good and Bad Guard are going to surge forward, break up that formation. And that's going to be it for the Arthurine pikemen. Not too sure what Man of Wanwei was thinking right there. It might have been a bit of a micro mistake. Might not have seen how far forward his pikemen were moving. Let's pop on over to this side, with the Orc archers firing into the Renanine pikemen. Rudauer is pretty low on armor, but that weakness can be mitigated by doing exactly what Fluffy Duck is doing right now, spreading out your forces, putting them in the loose formation, and just soaking that arrow fire as much as you can. That being said, Von Mountain still has plenty of skirmishers at his disposal, so they'll naturally take a toll over time. Let's see what we got up here. Edmore's Troll Hunters. Oh no. Oh no. I don't think Man of Wanwei sees this. Fluffy Duck gonna get a little bit of revenge here. Oh, the Numinas Gate Guards. This is exactly what you want to not happen to them. Let's see if these guys get one more volley. They can toss straight down? Yeah, they are. There's really nowhere for these Numinas Gate Guards to hide. They are extremely exposed out here. Where's the rest of Man of Wanwei's army, and what can he do about this? Not a ton. He's got some pikemen, he's got some men-at-arms, but Man of Wanwei is looking pretty hard done by at this point. It seems getting close enough to the wall has actually mitigated the effect of these Edmore's Troll Hunters. Where are those Dunedain Rangers? This would be a beautiful opportunity for them if they could arc their shots over their into this column of Edmore's Troll Hunters. They can potentially do a fair amount of damage to them, especially if they shoot at them from behind. The Edmore Troll Hunters do wear their shields on their back when they're not in melee, but that does not mean that they get their shield value from the back. So you can avoid that, their formidable shield value entirely by shooting them in the rear. So looks are a little bit deceiving in this case. Let's see. So there's a little bit of action over here. Yeah, mostly just this corridor has been filled with the dead of Man of Wanwei's Arthedain force. And now we're kind of getting into another lull. About halfway mark here in the video, about 20,000, 19 or so thousand frames left. And seems like maybe Fluffy Duck and Vislak are poised to bring this back. Certainly Von Mountain's army has suffered the least amount of damage so far. So I think that is potentially going to make him a bit of a target. But again, we've got another piecemeal assault coming in here, and I'm not too sure why. Orc fodder moving forward. I think these Orc archers are out of ammunition, and I wonder where the rest of Von Mountain's army is. Got some Orc javelins moving forward. Certainly very useful against those tightly packed pike units. And more reinforcements streaming out of Von Mountain's hideout. A couple of units there, the Black Legion. Von Mountain, it seems, has only just begun to wage war. In the games that I play with him, he's a very cautious player, likes to hold things in reserve, especially into the last minute. You guys are going to see that in a 2v2v2 game I'm going to have coming out shortly. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but it's usually something you can count on him to do. Renanine pikemen coming together, dropping their spears. Oh, it looks like they might just take the initiative here and go straight for the Orc fodder. Certainly these Dunman pikemen are. They are definitely the most at risk from units like the Orc javelins and the Orc archers. Ooh, it's devastating, but probably not the best use of the javelin ammunition from those Orc jabbies. I would certainly have used that instead on the Renanine pikemen, as they're a far larger threat. Orc fodder have now been routed. gunmen, pikemen, just kind of... Yeah, they're just going to go for it. Just going to charge forward. I guess this is why Von Mountain wants to try and destroy these guys. I guess maybe he figured he could rout them in a volley or two, and then they would be unable to attack his javelins. And it seems like ultimately he was correct, although it wasn't. It took a lot more ammunition than I think he originally intended it to. Ooh, Black Wolves coming forward. If they catch out those orc javelins, I think they're only going to have a chance to throw one volley there. Oh no! Oh, you fools! Maybe this is like their last volley. Let's see if they get it off. Ooh, that's nasty. Those Black Wolves are going to suffer quite heavily there. Shave off a lot of the HP as well, even if it doesn't kill a ton of models. And then Von Mountain is going to retreat out of there as swiftly as he can with his orc javelins, bringing up some of his reserves here to try and... a little bit of lag to try and bog them down. Again, the same kind of tactics he was using before, bogging down these Black Wolves with a unit of Orc Archers that is now out of ammunition is going to allow him some time to focus fire this valuable and deadly unit down from Fluffy Duck with his remaining ranged forces. If we get back over to this side, it seems like Man of Wanwei has kind of found himself in a bit of a rut here. Barrel Whites moving forward is usually the herald of a Gundabad assault. These guys are very much the first line, and I think we're going to see Vislak take to the offensive here. Yeah, moving one unit of Barrel Whites up on each side, and then he's going to, I assume at least he's going to follow that through with an attack from his more elite standing forces. Let's pop back on over to the central lane here. Orc Javelins have done a ton of damage to the Black Wolves here, although the Black Wolves have very swiftly cut their way through the Orc Archers. Now they've almost managed to corner that unit of Orc Javelins. So through sheer ferocity, these Black Wolves have fought their way through the cunning of Mordor. And now they are well poised here to deal with one of their more important units. Although I think the Javelins are probably very close to being out of ammunition, so the damage really has been done there. Fluffy Duck, however, does not want to get embroiled in this any longer. He's lost, I think, about a third of his Black Wolves. And he does not want to stick around any longer. So he's going to fall back. Ah, that would be why. The Melkor's Chosen coming in and chasing these guys off, but he's fallen back with his pikemen. He no longer has that wall of pikes there to cover these guys. What he does have, however, is some Ferrodrum Javelins, and it doesn't look like Von Mountain sees it. Oh, that's like 300 very deadly Javelins about to collide with the rear of those cavalry, and a lot of them are going to fall there, and the HP damage that they take as well is going to be quite significant. So a fairly even exchange there in the center from the Ferrodrum Javelins. I thought there was a second unit up there, so it's maybe only 150 Javelins. Ooh, another parting gift from the Mordor Orc Javelins as the Black Wolves try to retreat, but most of that unit has been lost. 2/3 of its combat strength have been eradicated. Orc Javelins really being aggressive here. Are they going to get another volley off before the Black Wolves get in there? I don't think so. Oh, maybe they will. Oh, that's so nasty. There's so much damage being done there. I find that Von Mountain likes to favor some of the lower end troops, but he really does have a good idea on how to use them well and effectively. Although it can sometimes run him in, he can sometimes run into trouble against more balanced forces, I think. At least with that kind of approach. So Mordor has moved forward. Again, not a whole lot of elite units being brought forward. Von Mountain just wearing down Fluffy Duck over time with some of his kind of lower tier units, which is a very Mordor thing to do if you think about it. Throw waves and waves and waves of useless troops at your enemy, make them expend as much of their strength as possible, and then you can come in with your really deadly units and sweep them away. Over here we have the Blackwatch Legion moving in alongside the Barrel Whites, and I think that's a fresh unit of the Dismounted Knights of Inuinas, and they're going to have a hard time here. The Barrel Whites are not an amazing unit, and they're actually very light, which is why you can see them flying around like that. Even arrows can make them fly. But what they have going for them is endurance, and endurance can be an extremely powerful tool in Reforged, I found. A good defense is a amazing offense. We're into the north. I wonder what they're going after. Some of the Warg Riders, probably not the best use of their extremely limited ammunition. I certainly wouldn't do too much with my arrows against a unit like this. they're pretty limited in what they can do anyway. And Vislax seems content to just kind of let his Warg Riders sit there and let those AP arrows be expended on them, which I'm sure suits him quite nicely, because that means that is a serious counter to his Witchers of Angmar, rather, that will no longer be able to effectively deal with them from range. And that can only serve Vislax in the long run. Let's see what we got up here. Reforged Javelins. On the other end, however, supporting their ally Vislax, well, sort of supporting, claiming a lot of the lives of the Barrow Wights as well with those javelins. I think they're actually hitting more of the Barrow Wights than they are of the Arthedain troops, which I think suits Fluffy Duck just fine. Again, the Barrow Wights can be a real pain in the butt. If you guys have been on the Reforged official channel lately, there was a match there that was very, very close, and it really came down to the Barrow Wights at the end, and as being the decisive factor that made that game very, very difficult for his opponent. And then those javelins are going to fall back. Barrow Wights, their biggest weakness, however, is cavalry. So the Knights of Inuminas getting a solid charge into these guys will absolutely eradicate them, which I think is certainly what he needs to be trying to do right now. Oh, wow, if you look back here, Guardians of Karn Doom have actually pushed forward, and the Arthedain men-at-arms are holding their ground, however, in the face of this age-old foe from the north. And it looks like Man of Wanwei has that fight well and truly under control. Oh no, the Wardens of the North are out of ammunition. That is not good. That does not spell victory for the Arthedain forces. They needed that unit to be able to take out the Witchers. So now the Witchers, I think, are going to have kind of their... They're gonna have a really good run of it, because of most of the counters that they need to be used against them having been used, in my opinion, fairly frivolously. Knights of Inuminas here, still holding the line against the Blackwatch Legion. Blackwatch Legion, however, being defeated quite swiftly. Barrow Wights also losing, slowly but surely, but they are grinding down some of the best that Arthedain has to offer. Over here, the Guardians of Karn Doom on the verge of being routed. Barrow Wights over here in combat with the Dunedain Rangers, very appropriate. Let's see what we got. Knights of Inuminas fighting against the Warg Riders and against some Snug Archers. This is a fight that these Knights will be able to push their way through. The quality of the Knights here, I think, is going to be shown in a really big way. However, still this danger. The Edinwar's Troll Hunters. Oh, are they going to do it? Oh, they are. They're reloading. This is a sign of the end times right here for Arthedain and Man of Wanwei's army. Ooh, it's so nasty. Oh, it's painful. Those Knights of Inuminas have, I think, effectively routed those Naga forces, but they can't push too far. They managed to rout the Wargs as well. They need to get out of there as quickly as they can. Fluffy Duck is now falling back down the rampart because he is being driven off the heights by some of Arthedain's excellent bowmen. And the Knights of Inuminas are going to be able to escape from that, but oh, they are taking some fire on their retreat as well. Altogether, it was very, very hard on the Knights of Inuminas. Although Vislax's army, I don't know. Once those Barrow Wights are gone, he doesn't really have a whole lot left. Certainly not a lot of infantry that can be used to bog down his enemies so that he can use his Witchers effectively. A little bit of a micro mistake here from Man of Wanwei. These Knights of Inuminas getting shot in the rear, taking a lot of damage. He needs to get them out of there as quickly as possible. It seems like he's going to go right for the Goblin Trackers, which is not a move I would make. There is a unit of Gundabad Guard nearby that can be used to great effect. You can already see them shifting their way into position to block the charge of those Knights of Inuminas. So I think Man of Wanwei should probably just be hammer and anviling these Barrow Wights, and I think he recognizes that now. So a big charge coming in now into the Barrow Wights. Boom, baby! You can see just how effective they are against those Barrow Wights. Really hard counter to this unit is cavalry, and these Knights of Inuminas are in the best position to be able to use that weakness against them. See, we got going on over here. Von Mountain has moved forward. Reforged Javelin's not having a good time. Looks like they were softened up a little bit. Heavy Maulers fighting against the Renadine Pikemen. The Renadine Berserkers have now been committed to the fray. I don't think that Mordor's front line is going to be able to stand up to this very well. Although the Orc Archers again being used to quite good effect. Edinwar's Troll Hunters maneuvering their way into position. I wonder what they're going to go after. Maybe the Troll Drummers. That is very much the nexus of the Mordor's forces' ability to stay in the fight and continue to pressure Rudauer. So if they can be assassinated by a unit of Troll Hunters, well, that unit has certainly lived up to its namesake. and dealt a stinging blow to the ability of Mordor to wage war. And those Orc Archers just kind of sitting there. Wonder what these guys are going after now. Seem to be having some maneuvering problems here, as I think some of these units are being drawn into melee, which can certainly mess with a Javelin unit's ability. Oh yeah. Yeah, they're going after the Troll Hunters. One of them going down. I think Von Mountain sees it, so he's going to draw back with those Troll Hunters. Those Black Legion of Barad-dûr, if they weren't going to get into the fight, they need to do it quickly, otherwise those Troll Hunters will make them pay very dearly for their hesitation. Black Legion of Barad-dûr. Oh, they are taking it on the chin. Although there are enough of them that it might not matter too much. And how much ammunition those Troll Hunters have left, it can't be too high. They've already used a couple of volleys at least. Now those units getting in there. And looking like they're in shield wall, so they will be able to push their way into the heart of the Rudauer formation. Another unit of Ferodum Javelins being brought up as the Rudauer resistance here begins to flag. Ooh, yeah. Yeah, this is going to be ugly. I want to get a shot of this. Just one more volley. Please, this can be our cheeky screenshot. Waiting for it. There we go. Black Legion of Barad-dûr starting to run out of steam, largely because of the amount of fire they've come under from those javelins. The second and reserve unit is being brought up, however. That might be enough. I think with the numbers they have here, still a lot of more non-heavy maulers yet to come as well. Von Mountain will be able to push his way through here. I have to say, I quite enjoy the way that Von Mountain has used his army, and he's definitely brought a comp that is well suited to this kind of warfare. I really numerous but not very expensive or quality front line, and then using his more non-heavy maulers in an opportunistic way, and his cavalry as well to fairly great effect against his opponent too. While they have numbers, they don't really have the numbers of Mordor, so I have to say overall I really like this Mordor army and I'd like to see more of it. What we got here? Troll Dormers just kind of chilling in the back. Black Legion of Barad-dûr holding their ground, and I think, yeah, they had more Troll Hunters here, and the Heredinine Rangers and the Ferodum Javelins just being scythed down by the Orc Archers of Von Mountain. They're not very accurate, although it's really hard to tell right here just because they are so close. It's very easy for them to hit the mark. But yeah, even though they're not very damaging and not very accurate, they're being used to amazing effect here against a lightly armored opponent. So great job there on the part of Von Mountain. Fluffy Duck has moved in with some heavily armored units, however. Witch Realm Enslavers, that might be enough, along with the Heredinine Berserkers. It's a lot of AP, and of course there's still the Ferodum Javelins here, so we could see him start to break through. Although I think those Ferodum Javelins are going to be going after, oh yeah, after the Temple Guard for sure. They'll stand up to that okay for the first few volleys. Ooh, that's nasty. They're a strong infantry unit after the fact as well, so losing them like this is unfortunate. Von Mountain coming in again, however, with the heavy maulers. Gonna move in and tie down that unit of Ferodum Javelins. Prevent them from assassinating his very valuable Temple Guard unit. And those AP arrows really finding their mark in these Ferodum Javelin units. You can see quite a lot of them start to fall. Come on, more non-heavy maulers, get in there! Do it! Oh yeah. Beautiful charge. See if they manage to get in there before they get off another volley. And indeed they are. Fluffy Duck is not having a good time here. I think this could be the end of Fluffy Duck's army. Von Mountain is going to be the player to beat, I think, in this free-for-all. Let's see what we got going on over here. Barrel Whites, some good to mad guard. Don't know where the rest of the Arthanine army has gone. Arthanine pikemen, so it does still exist. Arthanine marksmen. It seems like Von Mountain has finally betrayed his ally here. He's feeling confident enough in his victory that he's going to go after Man of Wanwei. So Man of Wanwei is rushing forces to the front here, and I assume Vislak is going to leave him be for the time being and focus on helping his temporary ally, Fluffy Duck, to bring down the beast that is Mordor. Very much a situation here where these smaller armies are slinging their stones into the eye of the great Goliath. That is Mordor's standing forces at this point. Orc javelins being used to destroy these Wardens of the North. Wow, the whole unit in unison, practicing their dance moves. Now is not the time. Oh man, those poor Wardens of the North getting devastated by those javelins. Von Mountain really doing well for himself in this free-for-all. This is, I feel, the kind of environment where he thrives. Ooh, those Wardens of the North have just been destroyed without really having much effect on the overall battle. Yikes. I think these guys got to be out of ammunition by now. Maybe one more volley. And there goes the Arthedain general. The king of Arthedain cut down by the Melkor's Chosen. And that is going to be a devastating blow to the morale of Man of Wanway's Arthedain army. What little remains of it, however, it seems like Vislak is actually coming in here. Oh man, one of the Temple Guard just cutting down Rudauer's general, so Fluffy Duck has lost his general as well. Fluffy Duck going on the offensive, trying to bust through Mordor here. This could be what is needed to bring down Von Mountain. I don't think he'll be able to fight this many enemies all at once. What has he got here? He's got some Shadow Guards, so some Mordor Rangers. That's a very deadly unit for Rudauer to have to face down with their low armor. I think Pikemen somehow pulling out a victory here. Their arrival has turned things around. More javelins. I still got a volley left. There we go. That's going to hurt the pikemen. And they are going to be silenced by a charge from these marksmen. Let's see what Von Mountain's got left now. I don't think he's got a whole lot. Oh, that betrayal did not come at a good time, unfortunately. It was the opportune moment to betray Wanway and potentially destroy him, but the other two players were still in the game. And now they have taken to the offensive. Fluffy Duck with a second unit of Black Wolves here, moving in support of his main line, and there goes the Mordor general, cut down by the Witch Realm enslavers. What do we got here? Some Temple Inquisitors from Von Mountain. Oh man, taking it on the chin, however. A lot of axe throwers there, Trollshot axe throwers, which have remained hidden until this point. Oh, destroying 2/3 of that unit. Although now that the Inquisitors are here against the Trollshot axe throwers, they'll probably do reasonably well. Though there are some Hereditary pikemen in there. Ultimately, a disastrous move from Von Mountain that cost him a very expensive unit. Although I don't think he had a ton of choice. On the front lines, at least, the Black Legion of Barad-dûr should do okay. Of course, the Witch Realm enslavers are still there, so I think that's going to be a losing fight for Mordor. So this is going to be the end of Von Mountain's army from the looks of things. Which leaves the Fluffy Duck and Vislak still on the field. And now Vislak, it seems, is going after what remains of Man of Wanway's army. Maybe. Although I seem to recall Man of Wanway having some mounted rangers, and I have no idea what became of them. I certainly didn't see them die, so they could be hidden somewhere. And once everyone uses their missiles, well, that would give the rangers free reign to run around and be the terrors that we all know they can be. Yeah, I'm just trying to find maybe some Grey Company bodies, but I don't think that they have been killed yet. Man of Wanway's army is mostly destroyed, but he has admitted defeat, so that to me says that he's got a hidden unit somewhere, some ace in the hole. And for the time being, he's content to just let his enemies fight it out. Ooh, man. These mounted Inquisitors. Only 10 of them, but damn can they do a lot of damage. Fluffy Duck still has a fair amount of troops left over. And Von Mountain still has a unit of Rangers. Although these Rangers are now out of ammunition, so how they can be used, we'll see. Ooh, Melkor's Chosen from Von Mountain chasing down those Goblin Trackers. They could find themselves isolated, and indeed they are going to be surrounded ultimately. I think Von Mountain's going to go for that tiny gap, try and get out of there. There's some Blackguard in there as well. Vislak and Fluffy Duck certainly seem like the the strongest players coming into this this very late stage in the battle. About 6,000, 7,000 or so frames left. They're going to have to fight each other, though. So we'll see. We'll see who comes out on top. So far, this has been a really cool free-for-all game. No, at the moment, I would give the advantage to Fluffy, because he still has some of those troll shot axe throwers. And then, of course, there's Man of Wanway with his mounted rangers. Are those Great Company bodies? Those look like Great Company bodies to me. Oh no, the Great Company are gone. Oh, that's so sad. I was really hoping to see them come out of nowhere and maybe steal the game. Oh, that makes me sad. Well, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna fast forward a little bit here. Von Mountain and what remains of his army, Melkor's Chosen, and a unit of Númenórean Shadow Guard, who admittedly are decent. They're probably, out of the Ranger units, I think they're probably one of the best in melee. But yeah, that's really all he's got left, and now he's falling back in the face of Angmar and Rudour. Honestly, I think that letting Rudour and Angmar fight it out is probably the best thing that can be done here. Von Mountain's still got a little bit of a Temple Inquisitor unit left over as well. He is just going to fall back and fall back and fall back, and it's really hard to blame him for that. Although this unit of Trollshot Axe Throwers is kind of flying a bit too close to the sun here. And yes, they are going to get charged down. Temple Inquisitor's going to retreat. Melkor's Chosen going to follow it up. They might rout the Trollshot Axe Throwers. I'm thinking no, though. See if they can get out of there before they get a volley in the back for their troubles. Indeed, they will be able to get off basically scot-free. A few cautionary volleys from the Goblin Trackers, but they could be getting low on ammunition at this point. It's not really going to do a whole lot to a unit like the Melkor's Chosen. Now they're going after. Now we come down to it. Vislac and Fluffy Duck taking each other on. Risky proposition. Von Mountain still has units, and he's already mobilizing them for a rear attack. Blackguard, Barrel Whites, and Enslavers colliding on the battlefield. Not a showdown you would expect to see very often. Rudour and Angmar being fairly closely linked to each other in the lore. And you got Black Númenóreans of every description here, facing off against one another. And then, of course, there's the Black Númenóreans from Mordor. Temple Inquisitors cleaning up the Trollshot Axe Throwers. There goes Fluffy's big ace in the hole. Númenórean Shadow Guard from Von Mountain coming in. And, of course, the Melkor's Chosen are already in there, although they are on the verge of routing. That'd be very surprising and very devastating for Von Mountain's prospects at winning this game if he loses that 15-strong unit of Melkor's Chosen to a rout. Goblin Trackers charging forward. Damn, I was hoping to get like a Númenórean three-way going on over here, but alas, it is not to be. Witch Realm Enslavers being driven back by a very healthy unit of Witch Realm Blackguard. I think Von Mountain needs to get over here and try and thin these Blackguard out, because they are extremely healthy at this point. And certainly one of the biggest threats still remaining on the battlefield. So we'll see what Von Mountain does. Goblin Trackers trying to charge their way into the Melkor's Chosen, but they'll be able to deftly escape out from under the noses of those Goblin Trackers. Meanwhile, the Númenórean Shadow Guard holding the line here against some good and bad guard. Oh, the Witchers! Oh, I think he managed to fry some of his own troops there. Bit of an oops. Yeah, now we see the weakness of the Witchers. Just a few units of Temple Inquisitors charging in there. Managed to kill a couple of them. And where's the Melkor's Chosen? I feel like this is the place that they need to be. Temple Inquisitors getting out of there. Forming up for a second charge. They are going to get fried for their trouble. Let's see if they manage to get... Oh, and there they go. Although that was some full volleys actually wasted on a unit of Temple Inquisitors. Oh, man. Secret Trollshot Axe Thrower unit. Are they going to be enough? Are the Witchers going to be able to fry them? Oh man, they're just trading blows here. The Witchers, I think that's going to be the end of them, though. But they managed to fry a significant number of those axe throwers, destroying at least half the unit, maybe a little bit under. Ooh, another shot there. There's at least one Witcher left. Oh, this is beautiful. This is a gorgeous battle so far. Melkor's Chosen still hunting around. And the Witchers were ultimately able to get those Trollshot Axe Throwers before they could get another volley off. Although I think that's the last Witcher. Yes, indeed. So those 2 units effectively destroyed one another. There are 19, and they're going to have a ton of ammunition, so they'll be able to use that against whatever they so choose to. Numenorean Shadow Guard down to 56, still quite healthy. Vislak's Gundabad Guard trying to pull out of there, maybe get into the center and support the Barrel Whites. The Barrel Whites are a significant infantry force. Look at them charge. Look how slow and weird looking that is. I love it. They're getting in there against the Shadow Guard. That's going to be no problem for the Melkor's Chosen deal with, but the Shadow Guard will find themselves quickly outmatched in melee. Although with a unit of Melkor's Chosen at the end like this, like we've seen in this battle so far, in fact, the Barrel Whites are extremely vulnerable to cavalry charges, so I think that with some cycle charges, the Melkor's Chosen will be able to deal with them if they are the only thing left. However, Witch Realm Blackguard still yet to contend with. I think Fluffy Duck's remaining 19 axe throwers were quickly dispatched. There's really not an infantry force left. There's the Shadow Guard so far, but the Melkor's Chosen I think are going to be the decisive factor in this fight. Small unit of Renanine pikemen holding the line. Oh man, look at that. Those Barrel Whites getting absolutely pancaked under the Caragors of the Melkor's Chosen, but they get countercharged by the Blackguard and lose quite a lot of their number. I think there was like 15 or so left, so they lost nearly half the unit. Now I think is the time to charge into the Witch Realm Blackguard. That's the only way that Vislak is going to lose this battle, is if someone somewhere has something that can destroy the Witch Realm Blackguard. Go for it. Beautiful. Not as devastating as it could have been. I think this is where the Melkor's Chosen will get trapped in melee and ultimately destroyed. Still, it's fun to watch Black Numenoreans slaughter each other. Yeah, a few of them fell. And a couple of Melkor's Chosen fell in return. Numenorean Shadow Guard are locked morale, so they'll sit there and fight it out forever. I don't think Fluffy Duck has anything left. Another charge there by the Melkor's Chosen. Bam! Into the Blackguard. I don't think any of them fell that time. Melkor's Chosen are really having a hard time dealing with this. Wheeling around and countercharging an enemy, he was trying to rear charge you, was an effective measure to minimizing the damage that they can do to your forces and to maximizing the damage that you can do in turn to them. So a solid micro there on the part of Vislak. I think it's going to be enough to see him through to the end here. Where did those Melkor's Chosen go? They kind of just like bugged out. Oh, they went after some Barrel Whites. I guess they're just going for kills or something. I don't know if Fluffy Duck has anything left either. Yeah, I think this is really everything. We've had a lot of twists and turns here, a lot of hidden units coming out of nowhere, but I think this is the fight for all the marbles here. And ultimately, I'm going to call it right now. I think that Vislak is going to be the victor here. There doesn't seem to be anything left that can stop him. The Black Numenorean Shadow Guards have been overwhelmed, and really it's just the unit of Melkor's Chosen that's left. Bam, a beautiful charge there. Going to destroy some of the Barrel Whites. Not do so well against the Witch Realm Blackguard, however, who have a pretty decent melee defense value. They will be able to block that charge from the front. Fluffy's got a small unit of Renanine pikemen left over. It does present a hammer and anvil opportunity, but again, Vislak is just going to turn around and countercharge. He's not going to let those Caragors destroy his valuable unit of Blackguard. They're kind of whittling them down. Ooh, and Melkor's Chosen just about to rout there. I think we're down to the last 1,000 frames of this battle. What could happen in this battle in 1,000 frames? Does somebody have a hidden unit somewhere? Is that what's happening? What do you know? It's like a tiny... There's a troll drummer here from Von Mountain. He's just hanging out on his own. Just, beating his own tune. Staring blankly into a wall. Caragors, still trying to do their best, but ultimately, Melkor's Chosen will be routed. I think that leaves Vislak as the master of Merlond, for what it's worth. Honestly, let's take a moment here and just go over the various scenes of major battles throughout the replay. Fluffy Duck really used this rampart here to great effect. Arthur managed to push Vislak back all the way up this corridor, fighting him inch for inch, but ultimately was overwhelmed when Von Mountain betrayed Man of Wan Wei, and Vislac came in and finished the job. And now with the with that unit of Blackguard, it's gonna see him through to victory. So let's go ahead, fast forward here just a little bit. I don't think there's anybody left that has hidden units that they can pull out at this point. It's a shame. I was hoping that Wan Wei would have those Rangers, because if he did, well, he might actually be able to win this. Certainly be enough to kill the Blackguard, and then he could just cavalry charge those Barrow Whites into oblivion. But there you go. Vislac is going to be the winner this time around. Says he has 583 men remaining, but honestly, we know that's not the case. That's just survivors, casualties healed from the battle. It really just came down to a handful of troops there. So let's take a look at some of the casualties here. I want to see what the Witchers did. Only 153, and most of it was on that unit of Trollshaw Axe Throwers. So again, Witchers, I know it's a controversial unit, but I stick to my guns, and I repeat that they can be countered, and we saw just how powerful cavalry was against them today. A unit of skirmishers was used to extremely great effect against them. Then the Witchers managed to gain a little bit of ground there as the skirmishers were trying to kind of reform a little bit, and it gave one or two of the Witchers an opportunity to continuously throw their fireballs. And but yeah, ultimately that was the only kills they got, was against those Trollshaw Axe Throwers. So yeah, holding them in reserve can be significant, but it can also result in you not getting too many kills. But it is worth saying that if those Trollshaw Axe Throwers were able to destroy the Witchers and then move on, might have been a different story. Might have been the Fluffy Duck came out on top. So I think the unit's okay, but let's move on. See what the rest of Vislac's army managed to do. The Snaga Archers really brought a lot of value to the army, but I think most of that is the Dunman Pikemen units that they managed to destroy earlier on, and the other units, Snaga Stalkers, got some good opportunistic shots there, and of course the Goblin Trackers did reasonably well as well. Warg Riders not really all that effective, and that's not surprising given the kind of terrain that they were fighting in. Although they did waste some of Man of Wan Wei's ammo, which could have been used to much greater effect against a good deal of different enemies. They could have been used to lessen the effect of the javelins that Von Mountain used to destroy that unit ultimately, and they could have been used against the Witchers. So yeah, interesting fight, really entertaining, loved it. Thank you so much, Vislac, for sitting in the replay, and I hope you guys had fun with this. But coming up next, we're going to have a 2v2v2v2, and then I'm going to try and show off a few more things for the patch, and maybe we'll, and in the interim, I am actually going to release a video of Darkest Dungeon, which I have already uploaded. I've just been lazy about making a thumbnail for it, and I don't really want to release it without it. So yeah, you'll be seeing that pretty soon, and I hope you guys enjoy this, and I'll see you next time. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye!